How's it going, everybody? So today I'm going to be doing a quick mini review and teardown of the FiiO Q1. This is a portable DAC and headphone amplifier. This headphone amp is super similar to the E10, except for it has one big perk, and that is battery power. So let's check it out. Similar to the E10, it actually has this nice slide-out case within the box. And you've got a little bit of hard foam or cardboard, and the actual DAC itself. So the DAC itself just lifts out here. We've also got the accessory pouch and what I would assume are some instructions. So within the accessories, we've got the silicon bumpers and an instruction manual in a plethora of languages. Within the accessory box, there's this cute little super stubby headphone jack. There is a micro USB cord and a set of rubber bumpers for the outside. Moving on to the DAC itself, we'll pull it out of this little guy. So here it is. My favorite thing I've ever actually seen mentioned about this guy is a question left on Amazon. Something about how well it works as a flask. It does look rather flaskish. Okay, so on the front side, we've got our bass boost switch, the volume knob, and the headphone jack, and the power LED. On the back side, we've got the charging mode switch, the micro USB port. We have a gain switch, so low gain, high gain, and we have a line level. So I bought this amp to use mainly with my Bang & Olufsen H6s. So on the E10, I don't know what they did, but the bass boost felt like it was too high. And so it was boosting like the low vocals instead of the actual bass. On the Q1, they got the bass boost just right. So when you flick the bass boost switch, I can definitely notice a solid bump in the lows. That was one thing I really wanted to note because on the E10K I wasn't super happy with it. Aside from that, I really actually like the characteristics of this guy. It's very, very neutral, but fairly bright, and it has a I'd say pretty mellow and almost organic sound to it. So even though it is actually 100% digital, it's a super high quality DAC and it's amazing for the money. Let's move on to the good part, which is where I take this guy apart. The Q1 is held together with 2 screws on the back plate. Okay, so you can see the slide switch covers here. And this guy actually is a little bit different than a couple of the other FiiO products. There's actually a plastic cover in here. After unscrewing the back plate, the internals actually just slide back. Directly under the case on the top side, we can see the volume adjustment pot. And this is a true 2-channel analog pot, which actually separately adjusts both of the volume channels at once. See some caps here. Most importantly, we've got the battery. I'll put the battery specs here. I don't want to spend all the time peeling this sticker off. And on the back side, you can actually see a nice plastic shield. This is not for cosmetics. This is to keep the important components from shorting onto the back of the extruded aluminum case. And the other half of the front panel is held on via these 2 screws. Alright, so on the front side, there's not a whole lot to see, mainly because the battery takes up a large portion of the space. Other than that, we've got the volume adjustment pot, which is actually the on-off switch as well. We've got some filtering caps, likely. We've got the headphone out. We have the line input. Some more passives here, some larger electrolytic caps. We've got the USB power input, some voltage regulation and switching, and my money would be on some of the circuitry actually being $1 for the LiPo charger. There's a small inductor there, and I would say probably these caps and maybe even one of these ICs actually being the control for that. So the reason being, the USB port is 5 volts and the battery itself is a single cell lithium, which means it's 3.7. So you need some circuitry to convert between those. The good news here actually is that when this guy is running, it actually powers itself via the battery, which means that you don't have very much line noise, and that actually helps contribute to the very low noise. Lastly, the circuit board is held to the plastic case via 4 screws on the back side here. So 2 of them are top and bottom, and 2 of them are buried under this plastic card. Okay, so the back side is where all the goodies are. And man, there's a whole bunch of them. First thing I wanted to point out actually is these 4 spring-loaded contacts. And the purpose of these is to make contact with the outer case. This helps with noise immunity as well as EMI suppression, static electricity discharge, etc. The first chip here is this Bravo. This is actually a Savvy Audio SA9023A. This is a audio streaming interface, 16 or 24 bits, up to 96 kilohertz, I believe. So it's a pretty decent chip. Basically, it just allows your USB device to talk to the rest of this DAC. The next is this SO8 package. This is going to be a Fairchild FM24C08. This is an EEPROM, which is used solely to configure the actual DAC chip, or the streaming interface, I should say. These need some sort of configuration on boot, and so it's common to pair them with a non-volatile memory so that when you power it on, it remembers how it's set up. Next, we have one mystery chip. It's marked EW-2E in this corner here, and my guess is it's some sort of switch mode controller, mainly because of its close proximity to the inductor as well as a lot of these caps. I'm not super positive, but my guess is that's what it functions as. And actually some of the test points nearby here, you see PVDD. The next chip is actually the meat and potatoes of this whole operation. This is going to be the TI or Burr Brown PCM5102. This is the actual DAC chip. And so this guy takes all the streaming audio, which is taking the audio from your computer, and feeds it into the output amplifiers. And so this is a well-known part. It's actually a really popular DAC chip. Next we've got the OP652. This is a dual op amp, pretty standard. It's probably just being used as a buffer or such. Next, we've got a little bit fancier. This is actually a TLC 2272. This is yet another rail-to-rail op amp, but my guess is it's actually being used for the bass boost, mainly because of the nice array of passives around here. So in one configuration, the audio is piped through this, which actually does a little bit of, you could say, filtering, but it would be, more of a bandpass filter around the low ends before piping it out to the headphones, versus when the bass boost is off, it just skips right past it. The last really good chip is, the last one that I could really identify, is a Maxim Max 97220. This is the output driver, and actually a pretty good one at that. Used really well. You can see actually the attention to detail taken here with the layout. All of the parts are pretty meticulously placed. So all in all, my thoughts are the same on this guy as for most of the FiiO products I've looked at and reviewed. A lot of attention is given to detail, and I just really, honestly, I'm pretty impressed that the layout and the design and the performance is what you get for such a low price. I believe this was $70, 70 US dollars. And in my opinion, it's worth every penny. It's really well designed. There's a lot of thought out features, and there's really actually some good quality silicon in here. So, no corners are really being cut. If you've seen my E10K video, you might remember I was a little bit irritated about seeing some flux residue on manually soldered components. And I mean, this is, either they watched it or heard the complaints from elsewhere, but this actually looks like they've even gone through the trouble of washing the circuit board after it was manufactured. So, I mean, small touches like that really pay off and, in my opinion, lead to a great product. So that's really all there is to see here. I'd say, in my opinion, worth the price. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them for you. If you know what this mystery chip is, please let me know. And aside from that, thanks for watching, guys.